Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today we're really getting into the weeds with the video game RoboCop, Rogue City. Our mission, as always, is to pull out the key stuff from our sources, help you figure out what makes this game work and if it's actually worth your time. And what immediately jumped out at me, something really exciting here, is that core fantasy. You literally step into RoboCop's boots. Alex Murphy, patrolling this really gritty cyberpunk old Detroit. And maybe the biggest thing for fans, Peter Weller is back. Voice and likeness. How key is that? Does it really make the difference?
It's huge. And it's fascinating how, Taeyeon, you might know the Terminator, Resistance approached this. It's not just another shooter. It's this first-person shooter mixed with RPG elements, very much single-player focused. And yeah, built on Unreal Engine 5, Peter Weller's voice. It just completely anchors the whole experience. Gives it that soul, that authenticity.
Okay, gameplay, let's unpack that. Because RoboCop, he's not exactly known for speed, right? That methodical walk is iconic. So how did they make that feel? Well, not just okay, but actually unstoppable. How does that work in combat?
Right, it's that deliberate, almost tank-like feel. That, plus the environments you can actually wreck. And those really satisfying slow-mo kills. It's not just a mechanic. It is RoboCop, that unstoppable surgical force. You really feel like the ultimate cyborg cop. You know?
Makes sense.
And that feeling, it gets deeper with the RPG side of things. It's not just shooting. You're investigating crime scenes, making some pretty key decisions. And that all feeds into how you level up. You improve your targeting, your armor, even like persuasion skill. So you get a real sense of agency in how you approach things.
Right, and that must tie directly into the story. Our sources mentioned it's set between RoboCop 2 and 3, which feels like a smart place to put it, but they also call the themes surprisingly thoughtful. What kind of depth are we talking about here?
Well, it gets into some quite complex stuff. You've got the OCP corruption, obviously, but also Alex Murphy's memory issues, his whole identity struggle. It definitely tries to be more than just point and shoot. Poses some interesting moral questions. Plus the choices you make. They actually branch the story. Gives you a reason to maybe play it again, see different outcomes. It really deepens the whole narrative for you.
Okay, so beyond the story, how does it actually look and feel? The immersion, the tech side. What did the sources say about performance? PS5, Xbox, PC.
Visually, I think they nail that gritty kind of 80s lighting vibe. And the facial animations are pretty solid, helps sell the story moments. On consoles, PS5 and Series X or S, you're looking at mostly 4K, 60 PPs, maybe some minor dips here and there, but generally smooth. And PC players get the usual goodies, DLSS, FSR support, so performance is generally strong there too.
And the sound.
Oh yeah, the audio design is key for immersion. You've got Weller's performance, like we said, but also really authentic sound effects. Guns, footsteps, the whole thing. And the music, this really heavy synth score, it just screams retro future and helps build that atmosphere.
Right, let's talk reception then. Metacritic scores hovered around, 70 to 75? Pretty decent. But on Steam, players seem to love it more, very positive ratings. So distilling that, what really worked well and maybe what didn't land quite as perfectly.
Okay, so the big wins. It feels like RoboCop. Authentic experience. Peter Weller's return is huge. Those RPG elements, the branching dialogue, they add real substance. And the world just feels right, very atmospheric. On the other hand, some criticisms did pop up. Some side missions can feel a bit samey, maybe a little repetitive. The enemy AI isn't always the sharpest, a bit clunky sometimes. And that combat, while powerful, well, it is slow. So if you're after a super fast-paced FPS, this probably isn't going to be your thing.
Good points. So let's talk value. We're in 2025 now. Launched at, $49.99, but sources say you can often find it on sale now, maybe $25, $35.
Yeah, around that range. And considering everything, the authenticity, the story depth, the gameplay feel, the verdict is pretty clear. Absolutely worth picking up on sale. Especially if you're a fan of the movies or you just like those slower, narrative-heavy shooters with real choice.
So there you have it, our deep dive into RoboCop, Rogue City. From that heavy, impactful combat and the authentic feel to its surprisingly deep story.
Yeah, and maybe something to think about is how a game like this manages to blend that real nostalgic authenticity with more modern RPG stuff. It kind of proves that slowing things down sometimes, focusing on that power fantasy and respecting the source material, well, it can actually make for a really memorable experience, something that really sticks with you.